It's not a huge problem in lane, though we did see definitely Zazel being very aggressive with it in the early levels. In that last game, the big problem is what it allows them to do in the mid portions of the game where they don't ever need to back away from objective and fights. They can just step away for 5-10 seconds, give Soraka a couple healing opportunities, and then they re-engage the fight. So good to see that one off. We see the fact that they are keeping a couple of the bans for eUnited, the Varus and Malzahar so far. Last time it was the Ryze that they did ban away on the red side, I believe, or the Rengar, so they do keep the Rengar ban. And Big Gods Jackals, now with the first pick, gonna have to see what they grab. Wouldn't be surprised to see if they try and split up the Shen and the
Ryze
that are available. Nope, they choose to go with the Graves first pick yet again. A little surprised to see that one.
Very reminiscent of game number 1, and if I am any sort of historian in this series, that means that this is going to be a Shen and then a Ryze pickup for the side of eUnited.
Wow, Tom, how'd you know they were going to do that one?
I just know.
You're just very, very smart about the game.
I was going to say I eat my Wheaties, but that makes no sense.
doesn't make any less sense than anything else you could have said, as we see, surprisingly, Big God Jackals giving away one of eUnited's favorite comps. They lost to it in game 1. Maybe they're thinking game 1, all right, it was a little closer for most of that game. We could have had advantages if we had just actually played a little bit more aggressive, maybe a little less around the mid lane. But they are changing up a little bit. They go with the Ashe and the Rumble. Last time they did not have the Rumble in this comp. This time they're grabbing it. So need to see what they do here. Last time as well, eUnited elected to ban away the Orianna instead of the Cassiopeia. You mentioned it was the first time that pick 'em up was seen on Cassiopeia. We'll need to see if they're willing to play that matchup again, or if they say, all right, the Cassio is more of a threat, we're going to ban that one away as well. They banned the Orianna first.
And so Orianna is going to be taken off the table. God Gilius himself picking up his Lee Sin once again, so exactly the same kind of composition coming out from the side of eUnited as they had in game number 1. We do know they're going to have to wind up going with a different pick in the support role. The Soraka, very, very utility-based, very, very good at, like you said, sustaining up, especially after the constant aggression kind of fights. Want to see what they can replace that support pickup with in this composition, because the Ezreal was the AD carry they went with.
Right, and the thing is, of course, the fact that with the bans being targeted more at the AD carry position, they can probably grab the Karma away pretty early on, and then see what they want to do with the AD carry, potentially, because we see Big God Jackals starting to ban that one away. They have the Caitlyn ban in so far. eUnited does go for that Cassiopeia ban. No surprise to see that one. Here, you'd expect to see, oh, they go with the Lulu ban. A little surprising to see that one, given the fact that they can just grab the Karma here. It doesn't really impact the laning phase of eUnited that much.
Yeah, of course, the Lulu has been something that Zazel has gone to multiple times. He was 5-0 on it throughout the Challenger split. Does not have the same kind of heal factor, but definitely has the keep one target alive factor in a team fight. But Karma, as you mentioned, kind of been going to as the staple support pick in the bot lane. They're going to wind up picking that one up for themselves.
Yeah, and I'm going to look at that Lulu ban a little bit, because you could have banned the Ezreal away. Sure, definitely hasn't been crushing like laning phase with it, but these games have been ending before you get to see Ezreal really come online and become the threat that we know an Ezreal can become. So in one sense, it's like, yeah, it definitely has been a huge impact in these games, but it also hasn't been around the time that you expect to see an Ezreal start taking over a game. Instead, they do go with that Lulu ban. They grab the Nami to match up against the Karma. Pretty strong laner as well. Doesn't push quite as well, but does trade. We go see the Syndra here. Very strong laning champion, can make a lot of stuff work for them. So Big God Jackals does have a lot of tools available for them to fight.
So now the Syndra being picked up for picking Wolf means something he has been played before, can be something he could be hopefully as equally as aggressive as Big Gods Jackals. Say that Fox and Gilius are around that midline matchup, and the Nami kind of being the second go-to support, which is very surprising. We saw the Soraka heavily prioritized in this one, finally banned away in this game, but the Nami and the Karma have kind of been the back and forth. One gets one gets the other. It's the first time I'm going to see Nami in this entire best of 5.
Yeah, Nami did kind of rise in priority a little bit when you saw the nerfs coming in for a lot of the harassment-focused champions. Now Nami with the sustain is able to win a lot of lanes just because she can trade really aggressively. Doesn't even need to be really favorable trades, and then you heal up. So that is one of the big advantages that Nami has over a lot of the other more utility-based supports.
Yeah, so we'll see if that means that Big Gods Jackals, a couple of go buttons on their side now. They have a Syndra stun, they have the Nami wave, they have the Ashe arrow at their disposal again. They can follow up with an equalizer. They still don't necessarily have that kind of crowd control or gank assistance coming out of the jungle pickup, but they have gotten what they've prioritized very heavily in this best of 5 series as the #1 jungler to go for, which is the Graves.
which hasn't been super impressive to me so far. And while they do have more go buttons, that has not been the problem for them this series. There's been plenty of fighting. Obviously, eUnited is the one generally starting it off. What Big Gods Jackals need to do here is actually find fights that are favorable for them. A lot of these skirmishes are 2v2s. It's not like crazy odd number fights that eUnited is picking. It's just that they're losing the fights, which are generally even strength.
Well, on the side of eUnited, there's definitely a lot of shields and definitely a lot of global presence in their composition. Very reminiscent of their game number 1. We saw Licorice being able to utilize his Shen teleports and Stand Uniteds quite effectively. And of course, we did wind up seeing Gilius on his Lee Sin being a presence out of the jungle, closer to level 6, not necessarily as early in the lane phase as we thought from a Lee Sin pick.
Yeah, but that was definitely a game where Big God Jackals had lane pressure early on in pretty much all 3 lanes, so it can be a little bit harder and a little scarier to turn a gank there. If the other jungler shows up, it turns into a 2v2, you can easily lose that one. Here, they still don't have a ton of pressure in a lot of these lanes. Rumble, good into Shen, does have that push advantage. Syndra Ryze is a little bit more difficult of a matchup. It can go kind of either way, depending on jungler assistance and how you actually play the lane. Syndra does win a lot of the control mage matchups, but Ryze can be a little trickier for her to win overall. And then the bot lane, it's really going to come down to how they actually play this one out. A lot more skilly-based matchups, I think, than what you might have seen in the first game.
Well, if you are saying that mid lane matchup is going to be very reliant on where the jungle pressure is in this game, it might be something that eUnited looks to capitalize on yet again. Big Gods Jackals coming into this, Wolf himself said that they were very vocal about wanting to get him an advantageous mid lane matchup. They did in game 1, didn't work out. They did in game 2, didn't work out. Third time's got to be a charm, otherwise they're going to be out of the playoffs.
I mean, it might be third time's a charm for Fox.
Well, not this time. He's not playing Ahri. He had the charm last time.
Ha 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 ha. I meant, whatever. You got me on that one.
Completely derailed you now.
Yeah, you did. So the thing is, Syndra does have the cleanse to get out of the guaranteed lockdown CC that Ryze can provide, but it is a decently long cooldown given the fact that that CC is just on Ryze's W, so he can use that one again pretty quickly. Wouldn't be surprised to see Gilius try a little bit of an early gank around the mid lane, blow that flash and cleanse, hopefully, negate the aggressive playstyle that Syndras generally want to play with, and then they might even see a regank opportunity.
Well, Ryze this time around has packed the exhaust for himself, so Fox will have that to potentially turn around some all-in potential from Peck and Woof, although Syndra may have a little bit of the range advantage in that matchup. The longer range stun off the Scout of the Week. We are going to wind up seeing Gilius starting on his top side of the jungle with his red buff into a Wraith Camp start, mirrored on the opposite side by Wiggly, who's actually making the first adaptation in this match, going straight from his red buff, dashing over the wall, and he's going to try to steal away this blue.
Interesting to see him go for this. Gilius had not been doing the common clear that a lot of junglers do now, where they start Raptors and then go into red. He's actually been starting red generally, then going into Raptors, which makes this a little bit more dangerous of a steal to go for, but we see Gilius going for mostly, not a full clear, but grabbing the wolves before heading to the blue buff. That means Gilius is able to steal away that blue buff, hop the wall, and now he's still level 2 in a bit of a position for a cheesy level 2 gank onto the bot lane of eUnited. We see the exhaust come in, the flash bubble.
Ooh, the flash bubble does wind up proccing a flash from the side of Deathly. Zazel's actually going to wind up having to walk away too, uses his exhaust, so 2 summoners spelled burned for, well, 2 of their own, both of them from Biona.
Right, overall, not bad to lose out on that. Does get a little bit of pressure, and we see Lee Sin not in the best position to punish any of that aggression. They did have the ward over the wall. That Wiggly dropped during his invade, so he was able to see Lee Sin. Now here comes that early Lee Sin gank onto Big Wolf. Does have the red buff, which is the most important thing. Gets the flash. And like I said, there's that early gank that Gilius wanted. Burns the flash of Peek and Wolf. Needs to be a little bit more careful in this mid lane matchup now.
Yeah, so now he's not going to have that escape summoners. He does wind up having the cleanse as the second one right instead of the ghost. You did touch upon for that Ryze Rune Prison. That means that Peck and Wolf not going to be the safest in that matchup mid lane, but the adaptation from Wiggly out of the jungle, something good to see because Gilius has gone for that same start 3 times in a row now in this series. Wiggly lost his blue buff last time. This time around, he steals away a blue buff as Gilius hops over the wall, lands a Sonic Wave, forces yet another flash out of RF Legendary. It's already 3 flashes down on the side of Big Gods Jackals, only 1 on the side of eUnited as Zazel's going to get bubbled up here, taking a lot of poke damage coming out from this Ashe and Nami combination. Ton of slow coming out from Tide Color's Blessing and just the frozen arrows from Ashe.
Yeah, you see a lot of potions burn already down the bot side. None available for anyone, but Big God Jackals do have the benefit of the Nami heal. Wiggly wrapping around for another gank in the bot lane. Jungler's getting very involved in this game early on.
Yeah, Wiggly deciding his adaptation is going to be more damage. He wants it going forward. Burns the heal away from Deathly. Zazel's going to have to flash away, but a flash after from Wiggly. He trades his life, but he does pick up first blood.
He is able to get the 1-for-1. Licorice TP's down to cut off any potential follow-up. Gets the flash on to Biano. He's able to CC him up a little bit here. He is going to have the damage to pick up the kill.
Yeah, so he will actually be able to wind up going down there very early on. It's not normally you see the Shen teleport being used for a kill at level 4.
No, not at all. This game is definitely a little crazier than I would have predicted coming into it. The early cheese game coming in from Wiggly, Big giving his jungle pathing. Usually what you see when someone goes for that is the other jungler taking that kind of opportunity to turn some more ganks instead. Or jungle camps. Instead, he looked for more ganks. Now Wiggly wants to punish in the bot lane as well after seeing Gilius show on the top side.
So Wiggly did wind up burning multiple summoner spells from his bottom lane opponents, does burn his own flash and gives a blue buff away to the Ezreal, but this teleport in from Licorice was very aggressive of a call, but he knows there's no summoners on Biano, so once again, I believe it's like the third or fourth flash taunt we've seen him land on Shen this entire series, takes down Biano.
Yep, able to grab that kill, makes it a 2-for-1 in favor of eUnited. And like I was saying, usually when you see a jungler go for a little bit of a cheesy path there with the buff steal into a gank, you're concerned about giving away a lot of your camps. And Gilius, interestingly enough, chooses to take that time to pressure the other lanes, burns the flash mid, burns the flash top side, and that allows Wiggly to go, okay, well, I'll re-gank your bot lane, but a good punish by eUnited teleporting down there.
Yeah, so eUnited are able to get the punish, but Big Gods Jackals showing that they're kind of going back to the game plan that has gotten them into the Challenger Series playoffs to begin with. They're focusing down on the bottom lane. They're trying to get Fabi advantage in this lane phase matchup. Even though he did wind up getting a kill over to the side of Deathly, Fabi now has a little bit of pressure on that bottom side, is going to wind up being able to go back and pick up a BF sword extremely early on. And we'll have to see if Fabi now can kind of transition this advantage, not necessarily a huge advantage, but this pressure that he's getting now on the bottom side of the map, if they're going to be able to turn that into anything else, or is Wiggly going to continue to come help out that mid lane matchup and try to force that 2v2?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing him continue trying to pressure around the bot lane here. If you can get Fabi snowballing, great. Syndra obviously wants to be the one that you're snowballing, but we've seen how the 2v2 mid has gone a number of times now, and I don't think I want to see it a third time.
No, so the big plan from Big Gods may be on the bottom side of the map, as they do, as you mentioned before, have a lot of slows, a lot of CC. That's going to be something you want to be able to go towards if you are Graves. You don't have that yourself, you just kind of have a lot of damage, and we've seen it already pick up a kill on the bottom side. So that Big Gods Jackal is going to be getting vision control of that bottom side river, trying to prioritize that for themselves. They actually have a lot of control wards already down on that side of the map. It is going to be a Mountain Drake that spawns first this time around, so it wouldn't necessarily be the worst thing to get early on.
Nope, and we've generally seen Big God Jackals have the better vision control down in the bot river early on, but they haven't been able to turn it into anything. That hasn't led to any big 4-man roams, though this might be the first time we get to see they are able to push in a bot wave. Syndra dips out of lane, and Graves is already down here, forcing eUnited away from their own turret.
I like this from Big Gods Jackals. They're playing around their strengths. They're playing around the guy who said that he wanted to beat up on players in the Challenger Series like Deathly and Zeyzal, and they continue to focus down on this. You even get the teleport from RF Legendary as soon as he hits level 6. Uses the Equalizer. I didn't even see that ward behind him, but now Licorice is joined up for the Stand United. He gets the taunt up onto RF Legendary. Maybe a little bit too gutsy from RF. Does not have the flash available. That's going to be another kill going to Licorice.
Yeah, very surprising to see that teleport coming to RF Legendary. The rest of Big God Jackals were already forced back onto the other side of the turret, meaning that RF Legendary teleports basically into a 1v3 because this team could not chase for the follow-up. He just gets opened up on by the Shen, who had the ultimate available to match that teleport.
Oh, Wolf going to want to get in the ultimate down onto Fox. He has to burn the flash as well as the safeguard shield coming in from Gilius' Lee Sin, but Wiggly and Wolf now trying to get as much damage down as possible will force away that mid-jungle duo.
Yeah, they are able to win that trade a little bit there. Nice to see that one. I wasn't sure if Wiggly actually played that one correctly. Might have been able to throw that ultimate in a little bit earlier and get enough to finish off Fox there. It instead hits Gilius, and the splash damage does not hit Fox. Not sure if he was in range to do that one, though. Just good that they're able to win that actual trade. We've seen a lot of them they've been going bad for Big God Jackals. That one goes in their favor. Opens up the blue buff for a potential steal, but it looks like Wiggly's having second thoughts.
Yeah, the hawk shot coming across from Fabi did reveal that the bottom side of the map from eUnited was right there, and Wiggly did not want to dash into his doom, instead going to picking up a scuttle crab for himself.
So despite the 3-to-1 kill advantage for eUnited, they are behind gold a little bit. We'll take another look at that bot lane dive that just happened. And there's that teleport. Like we said, the rest of his team has already been forced away from the turret. The minion wave is down, so there's no way for them to join up with RF Legendary. It's not the worst ultimate in the world, but there's no one else there to join in. So RF Legendary just gets taunted up. Who's not in range to flash over a major wall to stop any kind of follow-up.
He actually didn't have the flash before. That was burned by Gilius earlier on, and it was still within the 5-minute window of that being on cooldown from before.
Yeah, might have been. I thought he had it available. It was kind of hard to tell, but it wouldn't matter if he did have it because he didn't have anywhere really to flash to. So there we go. We see that, and now eUnited basically tied up in gold. They're doing a good job surviving a little bit early on, and we've seen that as the game gets later and later, that's really when their gold advantage comes in. They're coming into the 10-minute mark once again, roughly even in gold. Gonna have to see where the 15-minute mark ends up.
Well, if it's any story as the rest of the series is gone, it's going to be a 1.5k advantage. Gilius actually hops back in to shield Fox and winds up trading his life because of it.
He had some wards available. I'm pretty sure he could have just ward hopped out. Instead, ward hops to his team, jumps to his teammate and puts himself back in range of the Syndra.
Ooh, but Fox
trying to punish for beating up his friend.
Yeah, he's actually going to wind up picking up a kill on Wiggly. Does not get the assist over in time. The Ash Arrow goes wide. The Tidal Wave comes in, but it's going to be Licorice showing up to the fight as well. Fox is actually going to trade his life for this one, but Licorice on the Shen, trying to get his third kill of the game, will not wind up happening as the exhaust gets used there by Bayano. That's overall going to be a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Big Gods Jackals.
Yeah, and they are able to buy time for RF Legendary in the top lane to continue pushing in, so he's going to get a CS and turret damage advantage. Overall, very nice play for Big God Jackals, catching out the invade from Gilius, slight misplay from him. And then eUnited wants to punish, but they're not quite able to do so. Good job from Bayano getting in range to keep Pekin Wolf healthy overall.
Yeah, so Big Gods Jackals, this is the part of the game where they've come out with slight advantages in this best-of-5 series, but are they going to be able to hold on to them for now? This bottom lane was originally shoved up extremely far, got a lot of damage on that tower because of all the sorts of pressure that eUnited is now exerting on towards the bottom side in the red buff area of their map, though. Big Gods Jackals have lost out on the push advantage ever so slightly. Definitely's caught up in CS, and these are the kinds of plays that eUnited are making to try to relieve some of that pressure bot lane, but sometimes they might step a little too far.
Gilius reading out a little bit there for that last one. Then you see that W back to his teammate, puts him in range for the last Syndra Q to finish him off. So we speed up a little bit here. We see Fox re-engage back onto Wiggly. I do like this decision for the most part. He is able to get onto him here. And then it's the Syndra tunnel that becomes the problem. We see Pekin Wolf realizing that he's in trouble. Ash Arrow goes wide, but then they chase really hard into the duo of Big God Jackals. We see the taunt miss there out of Licorice, one of the few times he has missed that one, which allows Pekin Wolf to turn back onto Fox and blow him up.
He might have missed the flash taunt, but he flashed over the Tidal Wave, which is still really impressive.
Yeah, he's got to choose which one he wants to do.
Although that mid lane, once again, the aggression coming out from Fox, he's able to turn around and pick up that kill onto Wiggly because Wiggly went to clear a ward, Pekin Wolf went to go clear out the minions, and Fox just immediately collapsed onto Wiggly. So not having Pekin Wolf, even though he was right next to him, not having him on the same page as his jungler right there was just a little bit of a disconnect there that resulted in a kill being traded over, but still, they were able to clean up the kill on the Fox after the chase over from eUnited. So Big Gods Jackals, small advantages, a little less than 1,000 gold now at the 12-minute mark. They're continuing to try to get pressure down on this bottom river side of the map. They've collected up that Scuttle Crab. They have the Dragon buff warded up, but they just haven't seen an opportunity to actually go for it because eUnited, even though they're not necessarily as in control of the vision on this bottom side, are continuing to play aggressively into their opponent's jungle.
Yeah, United definitely seems to ramp up a little bit as time goes on. As they get more skills available, hitting their sixes, that's when they start using them better than their opponents. And so far, United are actually in a decent spot. Being down 1,000 gold isn't the worst thing in the world. And at some point, you're probably going to look to start up a 1-3-1 with Ryze in a side lane. And generally speaking, Ryze is much happier to be in a side lane than the Syndra, assuming he isn't too far behind. And right now, he's in an all right spot.
Everybody on eUnited actually in a pretty decent spot as far as you look at the CS advantages. Shen necessarily, is at a CS disadvantage against the Rumble. You'd expect that because of the global pressure he's emitted on the map. He's picked himself up 2 kills, so gold-wise, relatively even if not slightly ahead of RF Legendary. You see him going for a little bit of a trade here onto RF. He is going to wind up dashing him. This kid's got Gilius hopping over the wall. The Equalizer goes down, but the kick away, a flash out of RF Legendary. Doesn't necessarily have any friends around him, though, so he might wind up going down. But on the bot side, Big Gods Jackals trying to push on the tower. The combination of CC lands onto Deathly's Ezreal, but it's really just to chase him away from going after Wiggly. Is RF Legendary continuing to lead the members of eUnited onto a merry chase. Blast cones over the wall. He's actually going to be able to execute.
He might be able to get it as he instead uses his teleport to
but he cancels it.
And a little misplay by Gilius in that initial gank attempt here. Bayano trying to get aggressive onto Deathly. He's able to just sidestep that one. Syndra's in range, though. Yep. That forces the flash out of Deathly. They're low. They lose their bot lane turret for that attempt onto RF Legendary by Gilius. RF Legendary doesn't get hit by the Lee Sin Q right away. Leads a little bit of a merry goose chase there and pulls Fox away from being able to kind of follow that pressure that was happening down the bot lane, though. He's out there now.
Showing up. He winds up flashing forward. He's going to get the Shen Stand United shield. He's going to absorb all the Cinder damage, and then Fabi's going to get locked out there by another good taunt from Licorice. One more auto attack. It's actually the overload from Rise. Is going to pick up that kill. Gilius has come back down and lands the kill, redeems himself for the play top lane. Gilius continuing to pressure forward, but the stun going to land there from Peek and Woof shoves him away, but eUnited with a quick response bot side.
This is the aggression that we're talking about, despite the fact that it was a trade play essentially on the top side of the map for what was going on the bot side. eUnited runs all the way down to the bot lane to punish Big Gods Jackals, who were a little overextended in the long lane that they had just created from taking that bot turret. They're able to trade 2 kills back, and now Goldie tied up, coming into 15 minutes. Overall, a better spot for Big Gods Jackals than we had seen in the other games this series. They also grabbed the top turret for a 2-for-1 turret advantage.
And so Big Gods Jackals, while they may be losing out on some of the fights in the overall grand scheme of the gold game, they are ever so slightly ahead, about 500, but now it's going to be United, saying that your jungler's on the top side of the map, even though you've been putting a lot of wards down over here and trying to focus down. We're starting the Dragon, but they have yet to go back from that play in the bottom side of the map. I don't think they're going to be able to finish this one. RF Legendary's Equalizer dealing a ton of damage there. The teleport, though, coming back in from Shen. This is the fight that never ends, Mark. Fox is running, and he's got no mana available, but he's still a Rise that's running at you. You might have to be a little bit concerned about that, and it will actually be the Mountain Drake going over to the side of eUnited, but they're not done yet. RF Legendary winds up picking up a kill for himself. He gets a kill onto Zeyzal. Now Fox getting slowed up there. RF leading the charge of the Flame Spitter, gets kicked away by Gilius. The Realm Warp is coming in. Biono's going to kill Gilius, but Fox is barely going to survive.
And the big thing off the back of all this craziness is the fact that Big Gods Jackals does have a CS advantage in the number of lanes. They also have a turret advantage, so despite the kind of craziness where United's ahead in kills, they're up almost 2,000 gold here.
Yeah.
And they're doing pretty good for themselves, given how the other 2 games have went. Maybe if they head into the mid-game with an advantage, they're going to actually be able to keep controlling this one. But eUnited is still kind of playing at the pace they want to. They have been fighting nonstop.
Yeah, and taking a look at the gold counts here, the biggest differential, besides the support matchup where there's been a little bit more global gold on the side of Big Gods Jackals, it's actually the jungle and mid lane synergy that has more gold over their counterparts in this matchup, which is going to be, you know, something that Big Gods Jackals was trying to get ahead this entire time, but instead of focusing on the actual mid and junglers, they're focusing on other parts of the map and just naturally getting ahead now.
Right, and I think that's kind of what we were saying we want to see out of them. More pressure around the bot lane, and hopefully that pulls Gilius away from being able to pressure in the mid lane. There was that small 2v2 in the mid lane that Big Gods Jackals did win. They didn't get a kill, but they definitely came out ahead in health. And it seems like by forcing Gilius to play more around Licorice this game, it's opening up the bot side even more for Fabi and Wiggly to get stuff done.
And the best part about this, your Big Gods Jackals, even though Fabi doesn't necessarily have a huge lead in his scoreline or in his CS advantage, he's actually behind definitely in this bottom lane matchup, you've been able to get advantages on other people on the map, specifically Pekkenwolf. It's now Gilius going to want to go back in because the Shen ultimate is available. The Syndra ultimate goes down as well. The teleport's being channeled by RF Legendary, and it's another fight coming in. They wind up trading Syndra for Lee Sin. The Equalizer gets thrown down by RF Legendary, but he's actually going to have to turn tail and run in this one. Zeyzal and Depley join in the fray. They will wind up taking down Rumble. The kill credit going over to Fox, but now going to channel the Realm Warp. Who's out of that one, just using it to kind of zone away Wiggly here. The Smite comes out from Wiggly to heal up on that blue buff, and it looks like they are just going to back away after another fight. Yeah,
this one is a 2-for-1 this time in favor of eUnited. They also have the pressure in the top lane. They're going to try and force this turret down, but Big Gods Jackals doesn't look like they want to give it away for free. Push him off just barely. Though Fox is now chasing onto Fabi. He's caught out.
Yeah, Fabi thinking he could just clear some waves in the mid lane, but he's going to lock down and tethered up by 2 sort of snares as Fox goes into a killing spree now. 4-1-2 on the rise, and I don't necessarily know if he's as far behind in this matchup before, and this is why you don't give him that rise. Undefeated so far in the Spring Challenger
Series. 6.5 KDA as well. Fox showing that he knows how to play Rise. This game, another great game, 4-1-2 so far. Was playing in a difficult matchup versus the Syndra. Did receive a little bit of jungle attention early on to help him get through it. Gilius, knowing what his mid laner needs, will take another look at this play and exactly how it starts. Gilius gets caught out a little bit by Biono, and they're trying to get Pekkenwolf in range to blow him up. He is relatively squishy, only has Merc Treads for MR, but he sees this opportunity to turn it because his Rise has pressure and the Shen teleport is available. He's able to pick in Pekkenwolf into the Rise. They're going to chain CC up Pekkenwolf. He goes down early on. RF Legendary tries to turn this one. He does have a good bit of damage. That's a nice ultimate, a good chain there with the Ashe ultimate as well, but no one else is really there to frontline, and you know, they just focus down onto our Legendary next.
Yeah, the biggest issue was that Equalizer was good. It hit priority targets, but it hit the Rise, who has Merc Treads and a Rod of Ages, and in addition to hitting the Spirit Visage Merc Tread Shen, so that wasn't necessarily burning through primary damage dealers, it was burning through what is supposedly the front line with no real damage to back up because Syndra went down so early in that fight.
Right, that really was the big problem. If Syndra was able to throw some of her balls around, just get some stuns before going in for an ultimate to assassinate somebody. Unfortunately, she went down extremely early on in that fight.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Syndra not being able to throw anything in that fight is EUnited now. Although they have kind of continued to pull on the aggression, Big Gods Jackals doing a really good job of, even though they are falling in some of these fights and these trades may be going slightly in favor of EUnited, still holding on to the global gold advantage. They have about a 1,000 gold advantage now going into the 20-minute mark, where in the rest of this series, on average, we're down by 5,000. So Big Gods Jackals definitely showing up a couple of holes in their game coming into this game number 3. It's going to be extremely important because if they lose this one, they're out of the playoffs in general. But Wolf is going to wind up being caught out here trying to defend that tower, the Realm Warp and the Lee Sin. Gilius and Fox, what a surprise.
And that's what we're talking about. As soon as it feels like EUnited's finally able to set up their 1-3-1, they have gotten enough pressure on the rest of the map. That's really when they start blowing these games up. Sure, they had an advantage earlier on the other game, so it was easier to get into the lane setup that they want. Now they're able to get into it, finally, and they instantly turn it into a kill onto the Syndra. And they surely know how to make plays. Big God Jackals trying to punish around the mid lane.
Yeah, they wanna get a response out of this, and it's actually going to force the duo from the side of EUnited to come back up here. Licorice is going to wind up using his Stand United, but there's a good tidal way to disengage from that. So Big Gods Jackals aren't able to get much. They're going to wind up landing some CC onto Fox. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow is there. The Equalizer gets used. They burn the flash from Fox. Big Gods Jackals, you have to back away from this, so the rest of EUnited is grouped up.
Yeah, EUnited still grouped up, still pushing, trying to get down this mid lane turret, sitting at around half health. Enough wave clear by Big God Jackals to deter that push. But Fox doesn't look quite done yet. Wants to catch out RF Legendary. Not going to be able to find him.
Still half HP. Doesn't really matter, though, because he's Rise, and he knows exactly the limitations of this champion. That's why he's 6-0 on it. Continues to put up the pressure in this top side of the map. And Big Gods Jackals had a good response to try to shove up that mid lane. Unfortunately for them, EUnited, with the global pressure coming in from Shen, was able to respond a little bit too quickly. Now it's EUnited with a pinch they're coming in from the top side of the map, going to be pushing down onto this mid lane tower. One of the last average towers on the map. There's going to be God Gilius ducking in on Lee Sin, kicks the primary target of Ashe back. Will trade his life for that one, but the fight is now broken up. A flash over the wall there comes out from Zazable. He will wind up falling to collateral damage from Graves. That's Wiggly picking up 2 kills in this fight, and now Licorice getting burned down by our Legendary. The flash forward and the rocket to slow him down. Licorice is going to wind up falling eventually. Once again, the shield there coming in is going to stay alive for now. At the same exact time, Wiggly dropping extremely low, but Bayano's going to keep him alive long enough. Arf Legendary's finally picked up that kill on the Shen. Tanky as he is, he does eventually fall, and Big Gods Jackals 2 or 3 for 1 in their favor.
Yeah, you saw Fox and Deathly almost able to turn that one back onto a number of members of Big God Jackals. We saw Wiggly and Wolf both dropping extremely low. Neither one ends up going down. EUnited, a slight overextension there. They blew so much onto Fabi, who's not really a big threat in these fights right now on the Ashe, sitting on basically a Runaan's Hurricane and BF Sword. That's really not that big of a deal if you insta-give him and blow all your resources to do so. Gilius Insect, we see the flash taunt follow up by Licorice, as well as having Fox drop a bunch of damage onto him.
Really? Not done yet.
Yeah, Big God Jackals trying to start off that Infernal Dragon. Might be able to get it, though. We see Gilius caught out a little bit now.
Yeah, Wiggly over the wall. Definitely still has not recalled from that last fight, so maybe the aggression from Big Gods Jackals is going to be biting them a little bit here. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow goes a little bit above Gilius, as he does wind up going to those walls eventually. Fox is going to wind up trying to recall in the mid lane, but Pikamove's caught him out and wind up stunning him up. There's not enough mana to wind up popping that ultimate on him. It is going to be Big Gods Jackals content to take this Infernal Dragon, their first dragon of the game.
You see EUnited continue this kind of play style where they seem to hate recalling. This time they don't have the Soraka to top them off at the end of fights. A little bit riskier to play this way. And Big God Jackals does grab the Infernal Dragon. Their team comp uses this extremely well with 4 damage dealers. And basically off the back of EUnited getting a little too aggressive. They could have just pressured around that mid in their turret. They could have grabbed that one and then reset. I don't hate the fact that they went for that play, but definitely blew a little bit too much making it.
And definitely tried to go a little bit too deep for the kills, turning the aggression up to an 11 when maybe it should have been an 8 or a 9 and taking that tower in the mid lane and backing away. But now Big Gods Jackals You know, the goal, relatively even. The kill count in favor of the side of eUnited, but they're continuing to put this pressure on the map. And this is going to be very interesting to see if Big Gods Jackals is going to be able to come out with this one, which they're hanging in there against eUnited way better than they have in game 1 or game number 2. But eUnited's constant aggression, as you mentioned, not having the Soraka to stand themselves up, but also not having as much vision control, but still continuing to play into their opponent's side of the map. This could be something with that Ashe Hawkshot vision that Big Gods Jackals capitalize on if they're in the right place, right time.
I'm a little concerned about Big God Jackals just because it feels like almost all these plays are coming at eUnited's discretion. And we know that's not very much. eUnited loves to fight, but it is still mostly all started by eUnited. So if they ever do find that one big fight, they might be able to just end this game. We see they're still set up in this 1-3-1, and it doesn't feel like Big God Jackals are really able to get anything going at the start of it. And eventually, I expect to see eUnited pull the trigger on another play here. And that's the concern is when does Big God Jackals actually start getting control back?
Well, if you're up to eUnited, it's going to be never. However, eUnited definitely kind of have this factor into the way that they're making calls across the map, where a lot of these teams will come in, and you've heard on like comms with like mic check and stuff in the LCS, people go, can we get this guy? Can we kill this guy? When it comes to eUnited, it's we're killing this guy, and they just do it.
And now it looks like they've set their eyes on RF Legendary. He's pushing out this ball, and we saw Gilius down there as well. Gonna open up onto him. Nice ultimate, but it's not gonna be enough to stop him from going down. He gets dropped by Gilius, and this is the power of that 1-3-1. When you have pressure in the lanes, you can basically go wherever you want. Fox.
When your one can do that against Syndra, pops the cleanse and everything, but he's still gonna wind up going down.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. eUnited, they know the limits of their champions better. He sees that he can 1v1 the Syndra. They pull enough pressure down with Gilius going down to the bot lane, picks up that kill. Wiggly tries to answer mid lane one again. Seems to be the only answer Big God Jackals knows is that, oh, they showed someone in a side lane. Let's all go mid. Well, the problem is in the other side lane, your Syndra's gonna get 1v1.
No, and I'm starting to kind of realize why this Lee Sin pick is being prioritized by Gilius. Not only the fact that it's a champion he's extremely comfortable on, but the mobility that it offers to bounce between these different lanes and continue to play map pressure plays because of its mobility is really locking down Big Gods Jackals' ability to respond. You already mentioned, like, hey, he's in one side lane, but their other side lane is super far ahead, and they can't respond to the mid lane because Gilius pops back up there after he gets that kill on the bottom side. It's already too late, and they take 2 towers.
Right, they grab the 2 inner turrets, the bot and mid. We see Fox was working on the top side one, but Wiggly worked his way up there to defend that one. We're taking a look at this gank attempt in the bot lane. It's a little too easy. There's just not enough vision control at all on the bot side. That jungle is totally dark, allows Gilius to get a good angle on him. And then Fox, seeing that Wiggly goes into the mid lane, just opens up onto Peckinwolf. And this is why the Syndra is so hard to play in that side lane, especially from behind, because the Ryze can just teleport onto her at any point. If he dips into the jungle, he might get an angle on her. Syndra has no mobility. Her only hope is that she can stun the Ryze and keep him off her.
Yeah, and we did see that Peckinwolf unfortunately walked up as Ryze was using the spell plus to clear out a wave, and it spilled onto her. So that was just amplifying the amounts of damage that Fox was able to deal in that 1v1 situation. It's not Big Gods Jackals. I mean, you said it. They're kind of sticking to their own playbook. They're saying, well, we don't know what else to do. We're going to wind up going towards the mid lane. They are kind of posturing towards this Baron Pit area. Vision control could be one of the ways they try to come back into this. So now that they are at a slight gold deficit, about 2,500 against them, but keeping up solid vision control, can control the Scuttle Crab, making sure that eUnited may not be able to get those kinds of angles, but still, they're playing a little bit reactive because they're still on their side of the map.
Yeah, definitely hard for Big God Jackals to play the game out from this position. Basically getting shoved in at all 3 lanes. As soon as your Rumble is no longer able to pressure the Shen, you are in a lot of trouble, and that's kind of the situation that Big God Jackals are in right now. A lot of good teleport plays by Licorice is what got him that advantage, though. It wasn't kind of just, oh, our team grabbed a bunch of global objectives and now the Shen's ahead. Licorice really did have to fight for that. Gilius getting caught out a little bit here.
Does wind up getting arrowed, does wind up getting bubbled. The tidal wave used as well. The equalizer is pretty good. Hits most of the people there from the side of eUnited, but Big Gods Jackals now they've used a lot and they haven't really gotten much to show for it. eUnited are just going to wind up walking away from this one. Peckinwolf though waiting on the backside. Bayana winds up running into Fox. Peckinwolf though going to go on to Gilius, uses the ultimate, but doesn't even kill him. The safeguard will keep him alive. Now Fox is in the fray and he's got a Licorice alongside him. Already has a Zanya's Hourglass on the Rise to keep himself alive, and Wiggly's gonna fall. Big Gods Jackals try to spring a trap, but it is them who get caught in it, as Fabi's gonna go down to a Realm Warp in by Fox. Yet another kill on a 6-1-5 Rise.
I really love the way that Fox does play this Rise. There's a fight breaking out in the bot side jungle that he's not near. Does he Realm Warp in range to get in there instantly? No, he runs down and tries to get involved in the fight. The Shen ult comes over the top of him, and then once they've already won the fight, he uses it to secure some extra kills at the end. That's why they're able to grab Fabi. He continues running forward, finishes off Peckenwolf. They grab the bot inhibitor turn. They're going to grab the inhibitor as well, while Gilius and Licorice work on the mid lane.
Oh man, eUnited have all of a sudden blown this game wide open. We were just saying, how does Big Gods Jackals not let this kind of snowball happen from this point forward?
Are they going to get another sub 30-minute game?
They might in this one. 29 minutes in, the Nexus Tower winds up falling. They're going to get an exit second inhibitor in the mid lane as well. The Ash Arrow does wind up landing on the Gilius. Gets stunned up for the full duration, but now they're going to wind up turning on the Licorice. He is going to Shen taunt his way out of this one. Arc Legendary trying to chase through. Tidal Wave will speed everybody up. Doesn't lock anybody up from the side of eUnited. Definitely out of mana. The flash forward from Wiggly. Is he going to wind up being able to kill on the flash out of the Rumble Equalizer? Gilius now shows up, uses the safeguard, kicks away the Grays. eUnited are going to get out without losing a single member.
Doesn't look like Big God Jackals are done yet after shoving them all out. They're trying to turn on this Baron. They feel like they need to get some kind of advantage. This could be very dangerous. Definitely does not have any mana available. He's pretty much stuck on auto-attacking duty, but you see Big God Jackals not actually strong enough to really force that hard on this objective.
The
now
term Desperation Baron is not enough to describe this. Wiggly going to be taking a ton of damage. The burn is on him, but he's not going to quite fall. eUnited might be thinking about starting at the Baron, but they decide, why do that when we have two super
They're past 30 minutes, Tom.
Uh-oh.
Big God Jackals have made it. Oh, wait, that's not how you win the game?
That's not how you win League of Legends.
Oh, oops.
Oh, man. Big Gods Jackals are definitely in a hole in this one. It's true. This is the longest they've survived this entire best-of-5 series. It's not going to be enough just to survive. Even if they come back from this game somehow, they still have to win 2 more games.
Definitely an uphill battle for Big God Jackals right now. And this is what I'm talking about with this Rise. You see him all the way in the top lane, and instead of just trying to ult in range to get involved with this fight, eUnited disengaging, finally looking for an opportunity to turn. They're chunking people out. Fox is in range now. He sees this Vision Ward, walks into range. Peckenwolf trying to get a sneaky kill onto Gilius here. I like the idea. Too many shields available for him to do anything, and then this is the very aggressive flash forward by Fox. He has the shield from Shen, has his Zanya's as well. Lets him focus down onto Wiggly, and then here finally uses the Rise ultimate as a chasing tool rather than an engaging tool.
And at the same exact time that replay was going on, the Baron's being started up by eUnited. They're going to use the Realm Warp to try to go in on a teleport that was being channeled by RF Legendary. So now RF Legendary cancels that. He's not in this fight. The Ash Ultimate is used for a disengage. Peckenwolf has already dropped to about half HP. The going forward from definitely locks onto Bayano. He's taking so much damage. Has to burn the locket, but he will go down. Now RF Legendary's joined the fray. The Equalizer goes out. The Redemption is down, but that's to heal Gilius up from low HP. Licorice picks up a kill on Fabi. Wiggly's going down on the opposite side to Fox. And eUnited don't even need Baron to finish this one, Mark. They take a 3-4-0. They're marching into the base.
Yeah, they turn off Baron after baiting it, basically. RF Legendary has to cancel the TP, and now it's full chase down mode. Definitely getting aggressive onto the Syndra. Usually the AD carry has to be terrified. Definitely able to make the Syndra feel the pain this time around. Chases her down and finishes her off.
Well, with the ace, the sights of eUnited are set on the Challenger Finals. They're set on the promotion tournament, and they are set to try to earn a spot in the North American LCS. Another 3-0 semifinal, another United team taking down their opposition.
It's going to be the battle of the Uniteds in the finals, and not only is the name interesting enough, the two play styles are going to be so interesting. We talk about Gold Coin United being the slow, steady team, mistake-free. They grind out their opponents. eUnited, the complete opposite, non-stop fighting. Even gold lead, they don't need a gold lead at all. They just want to constantly have aggression going on. And they win this one 3-0 very decisively.
And that aggression wasn't necessarily because they were ahead in any certain sort of aspect. It was just the way they like to play out the game. Big Gods Jackals coming across the 20-minute mark into this game had a gold advantage at 10, had the gold advantage at 15, had the gold advantage at 20, but still were unable to transition anything they were doing into a lead and could not quell the aggression coming out from eUnited.
You could tell that they could match up individually in terms of mechanics pretty well, but the playmaking available for eUnited was just too much. Gilius on that Lee Sin is relentless, looking for angles on those insects, sometimes too aggressive, but it was always done at a time when eUnited was pushing in. So even when the play didn't work out, they hardly lost anything off it. Maybe a kill or two, and it was still like a 1-for-2 trade. They didn't have to worry about losing an objective either. The worst thing that they really lost in any of these over-aggressive plays was a dragon, which isn't that bad at all.
No, and you did say that Big Gods Jackals kind of kept defaulting into the position to just push up that mid lane. They tried to get it as a response to the topside play being done by eUnited. eUnited got the kills up there, stopped the push in the mid lane, and then took a tower of their own off of that.
I think you can look at potentially eUnited having to crutch on the 1-3-1 a little bit too hard here. They obviously know how to play it extremely, extremely well, and they do use the Rise in that lane setup well. But what happens when they aren't able to get that, or they don't snowball a game quite as hard as they did in Game 2 with the Ahri? That's something that you're going to have to look forward to potentially in the finals. Obviously, Licorice is a good Shen as well. Maybe they shouldn't be giving that one away. Just seemed like United was not only the better team, but was able to get their ideal comp almost multiple games.
One of the things we credited United to being able to do was not only do they have the established mid lane and jungle synergy, but they also had the ability to play around a lot of these standout Ricky performances. Licorice continued to be a driving force in this one, and even though definitely didn't necessarily have a standout performance in this game, he was going toe-to-toe with Fabi, as we mentioned at the top of the show, was statistically one of the best AD carries in Challenger.
Yeah, I mean, it was mostly 2v2 that we saw definitely, and Zeyzal holding up fine. There was a little bit of pressure this game. There's a lot more focus, obviously, by Wiggly coming down there, but it was a little bit of an overextension. We saw that one teleport that came in from RF Legendary, basically while his team was caught off on the other side of the turret. Who knows who was calling for that one? I doubt RF Legendary was like, yeah, I'm going to finish this channel. Oops, that's probably one of those team situations where there's just a miscommunication. And then we saw Licorice finishing his teleport, getting the taunt onto him and able to finish him off.
Well, another one of those teleport plays that wound up being the bane of Big Gods Jackals in that game was the one that led into the final fight of the game. There was a Realm Warp that was stopping RF Legendary's teleport over the wall while the rest of United was starting on the Baron. They immediately swapped off for it, and it caused that final fight of the game, which just cascaded into the ending of the game.
Right, you see a couple tools already used for eUnited, but they don't have to be scared. They have the Karma to speed people up. Definitely opens up onto Biano. An easy chase down there. In the meantime, Fox is soloing out Wiggly. RF Legendary, after canceling that TP, finally gets involved in the fight, but it's too little too late. The ultimate not actually able to turn this fight. Fox finishes off Wiggly, and then we talk about the chase down potential of that team comp. They continue on to the Syndra, and they're finally able to finish her off as well.
Yeah, and keeping up with the theme of eUnited and the aggression, we got one of the driving forces from that victory, Gilius, joining us on the desk. Gilius, how's it feel after taking a 3-0?
It feels great because we now qualified for the relegations for the promotion tournament. So this was like the most important match for us, and yeah, I'm just relieved right now.
Yeah, and I think I was particularly impressed with the Lee Sin play.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Gotta get that down there. Make sure the fans can hear you. I got you.
Can you get it?
Yeah, there you go, buddy.
You. Sorry.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, no
Sorry.
problem. It's fine. So obviously, you guys in Game 1 and Game 3 basically ran the same comp, and you set up a 1-3-1 and were able to make a lot of plays with it. Is this a comp that you guys are very comfortable running? Because obviously Fox is like 6-0 now on Rise. Is this basically your ideal comp?
I mean, we have a lot of other stuff that we practice for 1-3-1. But since no one bans Rise against us, we just use it and win with it all the time. So yeah, we're just doing it till someone punishes it, you know?
Yep, for sure. And a big part of that was also your Lee Sin. You were able to constantly find insects. And we talk about you being the driving force. That really is the case, it seems like, where a lot of the time at 10 minutes, you guys were basically equal in gold. And then you finally started opening up plays. Did you ever feel pressured to be like such a driving force? Or is that kind of what you're used to being? That's your comfort zone?
I had a lot of problems with it in the past in other teams, like being the main engage or being the main shot caller. But now I'm playing with 3 rookies, and Fox is like a veteran that is like, he has a lot of experience, but he just doesn't talk too much. So I feel like I have to do it, you know, I have to shot call everything, and I'm actually happy with the responsibility. Like, I feel like when everyone listens to me, we win every game. So like I usually in the past I was always like blaming my teammates for bad calls and stuff, and now I have everything in my own hand, so it feels pretty good.
You know, we've definitely seen you be a little bit more of an aggressive style of jungler. That's probably transitions over into the way that you've wound up playing this. You got the name God Gilius from being able to kind of single-handedly carry a team. Is it any different going from that carry jungle style to now being that main driving force in the shot calling?
It definitely makes my mechanics much worse on stage when I have to talk all the time. But it's much more rewarding than being this flashy player. Like, sure, you get like Reddit clips, but you don't actually win games.
Isn't that the most important thing, though, the Reddit clips?
I mean, yeah, in the past it was, but yeah, nowadays I just focus on shot calling, playing the map correctly. It's much more rewarding to win than being like this montage player.
Right, and talking a little bit about the rookies on your team, with Definitely and Licorice being very standout players in the entirety of the NACS. Did you know that these guys were going to be such monsters when you initially got the team together, or was it kind of like a happy surprise, like, oh yeah, I know we still have to carry a little bit around the mid jungle, but at least our side laners are actually really good as well?
I mean, I was told I'm playing with 3 NA rookies, so I thought, like, people never use NA talent usually, so I thought they're gonna be pretty bad. But then I thought to myself, okay, they're rookies, so if I just teach them the game the correct way before anyone has ever taught them
before they get polluted in correct playstyle, right?
So they have like great habits now. They do everything correctly, and like, I was really surprised that there's that good players also, like Licorice, Definitely, and they are like really insane mechanically, and I like that they listen to me. Like in the past, I had this problem that a teammate would not respect me and not listen to my call, but they're actually, when I make a call, they're all ready to fucking go. Sorry.
Yes.
And yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the things people enjoy playing with younger players as a veteran, is that they are a little bit more respectful to the older players who have more history in the scene.
Yeah, and speaking of history, you're going back to the finals of a Challenger Series. You've already made it into the Promotion Tournament, into the LCS before, but this time around you're going up against Goldcoin United, who are looking very, very strong themselves. How are you going to be feeling going into that series next week?
They're actually better than expected. Like, Phoenix is kind of like carrying that team. But I think they are really heavily outmatched by us. Like, their winning condition is Phoenix, and I have a much better mid laner. And Santorin is the kind of jungler who just farms his jungle and doesn't do much. So I'm pretty sure we're gonna 3-0 them.
All right. Big words. I like it.
The 3-0 prediction. Well, congratulations on the 3-0 today. Good luck in the finals next week, and thank you for joining us on the desk.
Thank you a lot.
All right, guys, that is going to be both series of the semifinals complete. So why don't we take one last look at the Challenger Series playoff bracket. After 3 quick games today, eUnited takes the victory and advance to the finals, which means that they're going to face off against yesterday's victors, Goldcoin United, in those Challenger Series finals next week.
Yeah, and I'm super excited about this, because as much as he kind of said, oh, we have the better mid laner and Fox, I think that does make this matchup so interesting, because it is so mid-centered between Phoenix and Fox, as well as the playstyles being radically different. Santorin, like you said, much more control-oriented. Gilius, much more play-oriented. And then the rest of the team's kind of falling in around them. So I think this is a super, super interesting matchup, as well as the fact that, you know, here comes Mad Life out in the Challenger scene. There's so many other things going on storyline-wise as well.
I'm actually looking forward to seeing if that 3-0 prediction is going to wind up holding up.
Big words already out of him.
Yeah, but there's more competitive League of Legends action around the corner. You just saw the NALCS is returning tomorrow afternoon with our first series of the day, having the return of Double Lift, now a member of Team Liquid, as they're going to be battling against the first place Cloud9. And then FlyQuest will face off against Phoenix 1 in a match where 2 teams tied just below TSM and Cloud9 in 3rd place.
This is an absolutely ridiculous Friday matchup. If you talked about these 2 matchups maybe 2 weeks ago, you're not nearly as hyped, but now Piglet is mid, matching up against Jensen. Double Lift returns, going up against Sneaky. It's just out of nowhere, Team Liquid might have one of the most talented individual rosters in the entire league, potentially.
Then again, we've seen a lot of rosters be really great on paper, but not as successful in the actual LCS. I'm really excited for that FlyQuest versus P1 matchup myself. It's one of these things where these 2 teams are just battling neck and neck, and this could be the make or break situation to see who goes into 3rd, who goes into 4th.
Right, and you mentioned, we talk a lot about the Team Liquid changes. Of course, is the fact that we saw Adrian departing from P1 as well, so changes in that matchup as well.
Yeah, so there's going to be it for us here tonight. So on behalf of myself, Mark, and of course the entire Challenger broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week for the finals. Focus down on this. You even get the teleport from RF Legendary as soon as he hits level 6. Uses the equalizer. I didn't even see that ward behind him, but now Licorice is joined in for the Stand United. He gets the taunt up onto RF Legendary. Maybe a little bit too gutsy from RF.
So he's out there now.
Showing up. He winds up flashing forward. He's going to get the Shen Stand United shield. He's going to absorb all the Cinder damage. And Fabi's going to get locked out there by another good taunt from Licorice. One more auto attack. It's actually the overload from Rise. He's going to pick up that kill. Gilius has come back down and lands the kill, redeems himself, and it's another fight coming in. They wind up trading Syndra for Lee Sin. The equalizer it gets thrown down by Arf Legendary, but he's actually going to have to turn tail and run in this one. Zeyzal and Depley join in the fray. They will wind up taking down Rumble. It's going to be God Gilius ducking in on Lee Sin, kicks the primary target of Ash back. Will trade his life for that one, but the fight is now broken up. A flash over the wall there comes out from Zeyzal, but he will wind up falling to collateral damage from Graves. That's Wiggly picking up 2 kills in this fight. From Peckenwolf, though, waiting on the backside. Bayana winds up running into Fox. Peckenwolf, though, going to go on to Gilius, uses the ultimate, but he doesn't even kill him. The safeguard will keep him alive. Now Fox is in the fray, and he's got a Licorice alongside him. Already has a Zanya's Hourglass on the rise to keep himself alive, and Wiggly's gonna fall. With the ace, the sights of eUnited are set on the Challenger Finals. They're set on the promotion tournament, and they are set to try to earn a spot in the North American LCS.